Hey friends, it's Simone. Let's see how this is going to work. This is a loaner phone. It's an iPhone XR. Yeah. So I don't know if this video is going to see the day of light, the light of day. Light of day, I think, is what it's called. But I want to talk to you about my October project, which is 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters. In this case, it's postcards that are stuffed into a letter, but let's start from the beginning. Let me put aside all of the things and start where it starts. So, how did my project come to life? Well, I'm loving people who participate in 30 inks 30 days. And every time I think, oh, that is a great idea, I should do that, something comes up that I cannot do the participation during a month with 30 days, like April, June, September, or November. So originally, I had thought I was going to participate in 30 inks 30 days during the month of September, but that didn't work. And because I'm a rebel, in May, I decided to do this project just in May instead of April, because that's when I felt confident I would be able to finish this project successfully. And after my whole project during the summer, where I used all of my ink bottles, I then thought, well, I could participate in September to use some more of my ink samples again. But then when I returned from the San Francisco Pen Show, I realized that that wasn't a feasible thing for me to do. So instead, I pushed it back to October, and here we are. It is October 3rd, and I am going to introduce you to my project. I put here 31 postcards because I really have so many postcards that is the medium that I'm going to use. I have a ton of postcards by my friend Brandy from Brandy Kincaid. The Shiny Bits is her online store, and I want to use them all because I feel hoarding isn't what I would like to do with all of that. Then in August, actually, when I still thought I was going to do this project in September, I went through my samples and pulled them all out and just looked at the ones that I thought were interesting and put them to the side. I pulled 30 and I now have 31. And then I sorted them in kind of a rainbow order, or as rainbowy as I could get them to be. And then instead of so I already knew what inks I was going to use, and then I also decided to assign each ink a pen to each ink, because while I loved doing my project in May, as well as when I explored all of my ink bottles, it was fun to just randomly pick pens. But I noticed that when I came towards the end, sometimes the ink would be awesome, but it didn't work with the pens that I had left, or actually the other way around. Well, the pairing just wouldn't really work, and I didn't have the greatest pen and ink experience because I didn't know what was going to come, if that makes sense. So for October, I did not only pre-pick all of my inks, I also picked which pen I would use with what ink. So that's where we are with that. Then I prepared this whole spread. Of course, on October 1st, I did it wrong. This is in a monthly layout. So this is Tuesday, October 1st was a Tuesday. This is empty. And then, so what am I doing? I am filling in the spread with the inks and pens that I'm using. I am making about half page of each pen and ink combination. I'm talking about how I like the ink, how I like the pen, and if I think the pen and ink works well with each other. And then in one of Karina from Karina Loves to Plan 30 Inks 30 Days video in September, I saw that she rated her pens and ink combinations with numbers, and I thought that I would try and do the same thing here as well, because I feel that it is kind of like a numbering of the feelings and the impressions that I wrote in writing, that I put in writing. So that is what I am going to have in my ink journal for October. That's the first step. Then I'm also swatching all of those inks in this swatch book that is divided by color. I lean heavily on this color wheel that I got from Sensational Color, and I made the categories the same. I started with red, then red, orange, orange, yellow, orange. So I divided out the inks by these colors, which looks easy to do in this when I look at it from up here. And you can see this is the base color, then it's lighter, and then it gets darker. So there's different hues, which is really helpful. But when I'm actually classifying the inks into this, it's so much tougher. So of course, there will be mistakes, which I think is totally okay. This is mine. I do this for fun. I have made these categories so that I can actually compare multiple inks of the same color family with each other. And I just drew a grid here, and I left 2 pages, so I can actually have 2 spreads per color family. We'll see how that is going to work out. Here is my list for the days. Here are the colors, there's the pens, and here's the people that will receive the postcards. Putting down red, orange inks, I'm just adding to this, and then at some point in my life, I hope to have a full, reference book. This is falling apart because I took out, I was trying to use this Hobonichi Cousin for something else. It didn't work out, so I ripped out the pages that I used, and then I somehow must have damaged this signature, so this is kind of falling apart here, but it is still an intact book in the back, starting with orange. So I have orange inks, I have yellow, orange. There's nothing here yet. I didn't even draw the grid in yet. There's yellow. And yes, as I said, there might be mistakes for this book. That's just how life is. For instance, with the yellow green, then I have greens here, blue green. I have lots of blue greens. There's blues, blue violet, violet, red violet, and then I added gray and brown, which in this color wheel, I believe that these browns would be here in the darker parts of red to yellow, orange. This is even going into green. And the grays would be on these lighter scales. If we went with light, I don't know. I really don't know where I would put in grays, but then sometimes they look like almost purples or almost greens. But in order to have them all here and not have to look around for them, I put them here. And if I feel like, for instance, Sailor 50 States Nevada might be something that could also be a red-orange, then I'll just make 2 blobs if I feel like that's necessary. So that is this. Then I have started in the beginning of September, maybe at the end of August. I'm not so sure, actually. I started this new ongoing inked log, because you can never have enough ink logs. This is when I ink the pen. So pen, ink, and then when I unink the pen. So you can see there is still a pen inked from July 28th, September 3rd, and then these 2. I haven't added October 2nd and October 3rd yet, but that is something that I'm filling in as I go as well. Then for my Happy Mail, I am sending them a postcard, and I have to tell you that I really don't like these frames from Wearing Ghoul. I feel they always get so dirty. Maybe I'm just too messy for this, but it doesn't really look as inviting as it looks when I see it on social media from other people. But I'm sending this with the postcard. So I'm writing the postcard. I'm sending them a sticker. Yes, it's early, but you know what? The new year is coming faster than we think. So I thought I might as well send out this sticker. So when they start decorating their stickers or their journals, or even choosing their journals, maybe they are able to listen to this. And then I'm just adding in some things. I have this washi calendar that I have still so many left. My friend Amy sent these 2 to me that she just got sick of them. I have a lot of those. I'm just going to include them because I love sticking them into my journals, but I also do not need to stick 365 of these into my journals. So I'm just sending a tiny little piece of Happy Mail that my friends know that I still think of them. And now let's go, and when I update you next. Oh, I was going to talk about the tools that I'm using for this. So to make the ink splotch circles in both of these notebooks, this small one as well as the bigger one right here, I am using a pipette as well as this steel cup that is a mixing cup that came from a set. And then if my pen is too broad to write the ink name here, I'm using the Iroshizuku in medium to write the ink name here. Because these grids are so small, sometimes, especially with broad and some broad mediums, it's hard to be able to add that name here. Usually I'll just use the pen that I just inked, but not all the time. And then I started using this for adding the ink to these cards. So the back of this glass dip pen here. And then in case I need it, I also have my dip brass, Kakimori brass dip pen here. That's the tools. I have water and I have it all set up on my desk. and I'm gonna film a clip so that you can see it. All right, so this is my standing desk. I have my two swatch journals right here. This is my ink journal. This is the swatch book. Then my pens, I have actually pulled out and sorted in order that I'm going to use them. Here are my samples. There's my stickers. Here's the papers that I'm including that I just showed you. There's water. However, I still need to empty the water. And then I do have the Inktopus right here, usually for the sample vials, so that they don't fall over. This sits here. All my tools are here. There's a rag here. There's a rag here. And then I have the Wearing Goal swatch cards and the postcards plus envelopes right behind here. So I am really trying to set myself up for success. And so far, so good. It's October 3rd. It's still working. I haven't written anything about the pen yet because I want to do that with you. But yeah, that's my whole setup for the month. Nothing else I'm doing at this standing desk for the month, and that is working really well because I can't just leave it out all day long and use it the next morning. This is something that the Inktopus here, where the ink vial goes inside, is another tool that I'm using. It sits over there. The titles I'm writing with my TWSBI Mini, Diamond Mini, with a reverse architect nib. It is inked with platinum carbon black, and if you have watched my black ink experiment, which, oops, cat on the left, right here, this experiment started with me wanting to replace this pen. I don't think I have succeeded in that, and I might just decide that this nib and this pen is more important to me than actually replacing it. I might add some awesome pens, but not necessarily replace it. Oh, really? Let's talk about the pens that I have used so far and my strategy. So this was part of my black ink experiment. This is a new pen. This is a vacuum filler pen. So I tried to make sure that I'm using the piston fill pens, the new pens that I would like to explore more in the beginning of the month if they fit with the inks that I want to use. Because my strategy is that if I like the pen and ink pairing, then I'm gonna keep it inked all through the month. If it doesn't work for some reason, if I don't like the ink, if I don't like the pen, if I don't like the pairing, then I'm gonna unink it after I have done all of my jobs with that pen. And so inking up a vac fill pen, and maybe it works out really well, gives me better chances to make use of this pen, especially because I personally do not enjoy cleaning a vac filling pen or piston fill pens. So I don't hate it, but it's not as easy and as quick as cleaning a cartridge converter pen. And so when I fill those pens with ink, I would love to get the most use out of them so that the hassle of actually cleaning them doesn't feel as tedious. That's why you see these 3 pens here. I also, I'm trying to get back into the habit. Oh, see, I didn't journal on the 2nd. I didn't journal on the 3rd. So I'm trying to also journal in my long form writing journal. This is not something that I share with people. This is the journal that I'm currently using. I'm really enjoying it. My fountain pens work really well with this paper. And I bought this from Van Ness Pens probably 2 years ago, and they still have them in stock. So if you want one of those and you like it, maybe you should check out their store. So, what are we going to talk about? Let us there's so much cat hair. I just got back from taking my cats to the vet for their annual check. 3 cats, 3 carriers, all by myself, because I forgot that fall break is not this week, but next week. Okay, so the first pen that I inked was my new, from the San Francisco Pen Show, Sailor Pro Gear Slim from the Line Friends series, Sally. And I bought this with the intention in mind to use this with Platinum Carbon Black. It is a fine nib, but I took it to Matthew Chen to make it a little bit wetter, and if I had some brain cells left when I did that at the show, I wouldn't have, because this is a gusher of a pen with Platinum Carbon Black, and so I'm not able to use that ink in there for tiny writing in tiny spaces when there's so much ink put onto paper. So what I'm trying to experiment and find out if I would actually enjoy the fine pen, fine nib with colored ink, because for some reason these pens and inks need to follow different criteria. So a pen with Platinum Carbon Black for me needs to flow well, but it can't basically drop a ton of ink onto the paper. And it also shouldn't write too broad. If you look at this, it doesn't look super broad, but it felt much broader with the Platinum Carbon Black. Maybe I don't know if it's necessarily broader than this, but I can absolutely tolerate, and I like the wetness that this ink has coming from this nib. So I love this with colored ink. I don't like it with black ink. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I had purchased this with the intention of using it with black ink, and I had the only ink that I actually had in here was black ink. Of course, now I need to check, does it still fit into my collection with these other parameters? And that's exactly what I'm doing this month. So it totally, here I gave it some ratings. I love the colors of this pen. This is so me. I love the bright yellow. I love the orange finials. I love the sparkly section. I hope you can actually see that. It's really, really hard to see. I didn't notice it when I first purchased the pen, actually. And I also didn't know that this color was different than this. This is, for some reason, I'm more into these kinds of plain in you know, quotation marks, plain pens, a single color, no swirl, no nothing, and then the section reveals these sparkles. That is totally me. I love this. And so I gave, and then I wasn't sure if I really liked Momiji. I used it once, but I'm super loving how all of these 3 kind of go together, but also not. And so this is a perfect find on the first day. So I'm super happy. So I gave the ink a 9 because it's lovely. It's almost a little too wet. The flow is a 10. Yeah, the ink is lovely. Basically 9 is, it's great. I might need to get a bottle of this. 10 is like, give me this ink in all the bottles that you have and all the shapes. I need it right now. I've already shopped for this ink online. That's how I feel about this rating. And then flow is a 10. It works really well in this pen. And the pen I gave an 8. I really love it. As I said, It is a Pro Gear Slim, and it's a little bit narrower than I would like for it to be. But when I journaled that 3/4 of a page, it worked better than I had expected. And so I'm definitely going to put up with this pen size because I like it so much. I don't know if it's going to stay in my collection for forever, but for now I'm very enamored with this. Then I have this. You might not have seen this pen yet. This was one of the most impulsive impulse purchases that I have made since I purchased fountain pens. This was offered up on my Discord, and I purchased it in a bundle with another pen. It is a Sailor 1911 large with a broad nib. And the reason why I thought I shouldn't have purchased it in the first place is because I already have a Sailor broad nib. But when I dip tested them, or at least from my memory, I don't know if that's actually true though, it felt just that bit different to the other broad that I have, that it felt valid to have two broad Sailor nibs. This is just such a beautiful dark purple color, and I have to admit that even though I started out loving flat top pens, I'm now completely converted and I prefer the cigar shaped pens. What is wrong? I really like this. This is super pretty. I wish there was some holo shimmer. Like, I'm learning about myself that I love these kinds of pens. Plain color, plain everything, but then add a little bit of holo, and then you're like my best friend. So this is an amazing broad nib. It works very well with the ink. I don't normally gravitate towards this color, but I'll keep this ink vent sample as I really enjoy it. I wrote it on Shauna's postcard yesterday. Plain old color, no swirls, basically color blocking at best. And this dark purple does it for me. I'm glad it does because this was the most impulsive impulse buy ever. The ink, I'll give a 9 as well. The flow, I'll give a 10. It flows really well. I've heard that people say that Cashmere Rose might be a bit dry. Not in this pen. And the pen, I give a 10. This is super, super lovely. I should give it a 9.5 because, as I said, it would be even better if it was with Holo Sparkle. I purchased this because I decided against the 1911 large, is it called Olive Swirl? The 2023 North American exclusive. Was that a North American exclusive? It was just so expensive, even during the Sailor Don't Miss the Boat sale, that I went for this one instead. And I think I got a really great price, like consolation price. I haven't written here yet for the Pilot Custom 823. I thought we could do this together. And so let's just do that. This ink is amazing. I really want a bottle of it. I'm not sure it's different enough. From Ancient Copper. But I think, yeah, see, I mean, I feel like this is just a tiny bit brighter than Ancient Copper. And I'm drawn to this color so much from Ancient Copper. So when my bottle is empty, I'll replace it with this. There's a TH missing. This ink. This will also delay me buying ink from cult pens for a little while longer. The flow is great. I can absolutely see this being a permanent pen and ink pairing. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is, once this fill is done, and I can just tell you right now that I'm going to leave this ink in this pen until it's written dry. I will re-ink it with Ancient Copper. I have about this much left in my 30 milliliter bottle. And then once that is empty, I know that cult pens often does like buy 4 bottles for the price of 5, stuff like that. And then I might just place a big cult pens ink order. Maybe some of my friends will want in, hopefully, so it's not just me. And then I'll get some of the inks in bottle form that I enjoy. Hopefully that's going to be in 2025. It's going to be in 2025, and this will push my purchase out a little bit further. So let's talk about the ink. The ink is a 10. This is like a 10 with a heart even. The flow, to me, it feels like it might be a tiny bit dry, but it's not bad in this pen. So I'm still giving it a 10. And then the pen is also a 10. Well, I'm going to give it a 9. And the reason for that is because this is a vacuum filler pen. And I just hate cleaning this. And especially what I hate about this is that once it's clean and then I look at it 2 days later, there's still drops, and then they have some ink color on there, and I'm just annoyed and upset about the fact that where the ink came from. I cannot. So that's basically what I do every day. I do this in the morning. I might start writing the snippet, and then in the afternoon, I'm writing the postcard, or evening. So it's not too overwhelming for me to do this. And I really like it. And I especially actually really, really love that it's going to be in rainbowy order. I really love this deep dark orange. I can't deny. Is it dry? I'm just gonna put this in here. Now I lost all of the postcards that I'm using. I'm just gonna pull out a new one. Then I'll fill in the third here. I started putting the ink name first on the first because I thought, because it's an ink first and then pen. But of course I didn't even listen to my own, what's that called? My own rules the next day. So I'm going to put Diamine And I'm also going to Diamine deep. I'm trying to squeeze it all in so I can frame it. Dark orange. This is the Pilot Custom 823 in medium. And then I'm just going to freehand a square-ish shape around this. All right. Yay, I'm so excited for this. I love doing these project-based things. They bring me joy. They make me use the stuff that I have at home most of the time, unless I'm like here completely geeking out about an ink that I need yesterday. And I really, it keeps me, you know, it keeps me playing with my things in various ways. And I'm loving coming up with projects throughout the year that make me engage with the stuff that I own. So do you have to do this? Absolutely not. Can you do this? Absolutely yes. If you are a project-based hobbyist, let me know. And I hope I'm not losing my excitement. I don't know what'll happen if for some reason on October 12th, I'm like, you know what, this project sucks. I hope I'm able to give myself enough grace to just say that, well then, you are allowed to just cancel yourself. And yeah, I hope to see you again next Saturday for an update on the previous 7 days, or however many. I'm probably filming either the 9th or the 10th. And yeah, I will see you again soon. Until then, bye.